Hi everyone, how are
Good
you?
good morning, Fred.
Good
Morning.
Doing
Morning,
well.
everyone.
How's the morning going on?
All's good. I have my cup of coffee, so it's
Oh.
definitely good.
Same.
So Canadians know Tim Hortons. Paul, you may not know. Maybe you do,
Oh,
but
yeah, I'm familiar. And I
okay,
don't mean
okay.
to be rude, but it was okay.
Yeah. So I had my morning Timmy's medium double double.
What does double double mean?
Two cream, two sugar.
Oh, wow.
One of those Canadian things.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So Asmat, what about you? How's your weekend looking?
Looking good so far. Nothing major planned, just gonna take a break,
Okay,
relax or something.
right. Harsh.
Cleaning junk out of the garage.
Yeah.
That's exciting, I guess.
Yeah.
What about you, Fred?
I like travel to nearby like counties, villages. I probably will go to maybe Unionville.
Unionville,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
It's a pretty little nice town. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. That's good. It's good.
And the
Well,
weather is also good today. It's not hot, so it's
yeah.
nice.
Okay, good, good. All right.
What about you?
Me, I have some lunch plans with my friends and afternoon tea snack plan with one of our other friends. So I have a busy Saturday. Um, all right, maybe we will kick it off. Welcome everyone to episode 5 of the EPM Coffee Chat, EPM podcast, where we talk about everything EPM. Very excited to have Paul as our guest on this episode. So let's get to know Paul a little bit. And Paul, I'll hand it over to you to introduce yourself. You're on mute.
Am I on mute?
Yeah, now you're
Yeah.
good.
All right, thank you. Really appreciate you guys bringing me in for this. I'm Paul Lewis. I'm a EPM consultant with Argano. I've been with the company a little over 6 years and in consulting a little over 8. Um, I started looking into Hyperion many years ago at this point. And when it went into the cloud in 2014, I got really excited. I was in a system administrator role at the time, and it really clicked, and I just kept going with that. Got into consulting, and um, not ashamed to say I love what I do. It's fun. It's always exciting. I like doing the consulting because it's always different. You go from one client to another, help them get them up to speed on whatever it is, and it's fun. It's a good time.
Yeah.
So that's my brief history.
Okay, great to have you here, Paul. Maybe you talk about a little bit about something that we don't know or something other people don't really know about you.
Oh gosh. So you guys were talking about what you're doing this weekend. I, I have a wife and a son. He's 14 just a month ago.
Okay.
So we force him to go with us when we go to our favorite brewery in town for lunch on Saturdays or Sundays. So we're doing that today. The brewery is having their 7th anniversary, and I'm really excited about it. So
Okay.
as soon as we're done with this, I'll probably get myself ready and be sitting in the car an hour early.
Okay.
So yeah, I like to take my weekends and just relax, whether it's sitting around the house with the family or maybe my wife and I will go out and do something for an afternoon on our own. It's just a nice way to decompress from the hectic weeks.
Yeah, of course, of course. Paul's being very humble here. Paul has a blog called Random EPM Notes, where he shares
That's
his
true.
knowledge and everything about EPM. So
I guess
usually,
I could have added that I am an Oracle ace as well.
yes. Yes.
So yeah, and the weekends are sometimes spent writing posts for the blog or doing other, I'll say, non company related
Yes.
EPM work.
Exactly. Exactly.
I love the name, random EPM notes.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect name.
I was
Well,
gonna
yeah.
say it looks very thoughtful. So I was gonna say,
Yes.
why is it called random EPM?
So, all right, when I started, so in 2018, I went to Interrail and met a really well, everybody there was fantastic, but met a really fantastic person who Opal Alapat, and she I read her blogs on a regular basis. And when I first met her, we just were talking about all this stuff, and I asked, how do you do that? And she guided me and got me started. So at the beginning, I didn't really know what I was going to be writing about, and it just, to me, it was all random. It's like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. I'm going to write about that. And oh, that was kind of cool. I'm going to write about that. So that's
Love it.
where the name came from.
Okay, good to know. So I
Yeah.
do see a picture of a dog.
That is my dog Pepper.
Okay.
So, like I said, I have a son. Pepper is my daughter, and I don't like to pick favorites, but sometimes she's my favorite. And we have quality time on weekends. We take walks and all of that fun stuff.
Okay, great, great.
Nice.
Yeah, usually I do read Paul's updates on the monthly updates. So sometimes I write it first, and sometimes Paul writes it first. So I go read Paul's first, and then I said, okay, maybe I
Yep.
write about this
I
too.
And I do the same thing. If yours is out first, I'll look at it and be like, damn it, he already covered that. And oh well, I'm going to still cover it. And I think we end up doing a lot of the same things.
Yes, yes, but it's
Yeah.
good. It's good. Okay, maybe so I know, Fred, you have a very intriguing question for Paul, so maybe I'll let you ask that question.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. So Paul, I think me, like many other EPM consultants, they grew up with the Interval books, like Look Smarter
Right.
Than You Are.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious. I know that you worked at Interval, probably with those legendary folks like Edward,
Yeah.
Tracy, and other
Glenn
right.
Schwarzberg, Opal,
Yes.
Tracy, Edward, several others. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you maybe share your experience at Interrail with all of those folks, and then your transition or that merge with Argano, and how that, I know at the very beginning it was Argano Interrail as a logo, and then it now it's just Argano, right?
Right. So, yeah, it's hard to describe. Interrail. So I worked for a couple consulting firms before Interrail, and the difference was remarkable in the dedication, the knowledge, and not that not just that they were some very smart people, but the underlying mission, so to speak, of Interrail was to share our knowledge. And no matter how much any one of us knew, there was always more to learn. We were very focused on learning ourselves and spreading that knowledge out to everyone else. And that was just a really refreshing, perspective to have, and to work for a company that was so dedicated to educating, as many people as we could. Pandemic hit. I don't know how much you guys talk about that, but that was a dark period for a lot of us because, business just stopped in a lot of cases. So we survived as a company, but realized that, those kind of unforeseen circumstances, they wanted to make sure we didn't experience that kind of potential downfall.
Mhm.
So Argano was born. Started with two like-minded companies doing different things within ERP and EPM, and there was a very thoughtful plan that they were going to just keep bringing in other companies to grow this larger entity. So we go from two companies initially, and I think it was summer of 2020 when everything started rolling, to now where 15 or 16 joiners are part of Argano. And Argano is not just Oracle centric. We have an Oracle business unit, we have an SAP business unit, we have a Microsoft business unit, and several other technology focused consulting businesses. So it trying to maintain that that small company feel is important to us, and even with the different business units, the overall company, we have a lot of engagement with each other. We have clubs to pull people together that have similar non-work interests, so we can have that small community feel. And as a larger company, we're better positioned to withstand any kind of unforeseen economic world events that might hit us. So it's overall a good thing. We're trying to maintain that small company feel in our little business units and our groups within there. Like our EPM practice, it's much of the same people, still the same leadership for the most part. So we still feel the same in a lot of ways.
That's cool. So most people still work in Argano. I mean, the ones who worked at Intrel.
Yeah, there's a large number of us that were with Interel. Several that have left, they retired. So
Oh, wow.
can't fault anybody for that.
Right.
They were at a point where they're like, all right, well, good time to retire. And I dream of the day I can retire. I don't know when that'll be. Hopefully in the next, couple decades, right? And then others, for various reasons, people move elsewhere.
Right.
But we still have a large number of Interel people.
Nice. That's, very glad to hear that.
Yeah.
That means you have very good culture, very good environment.
Exactly. Yeah. It's hard to maintain that culture in larger organization.
Yeah.
And I'll give leadership a lot of credit for everything they're doing to make it happen, because it is an investment. You have to put people in place that's their focus.
Yeah.
And so far so good.
All right.
Well,
Now, if I win the lottery, all bets are off. I'm out.
Yeah. No, thanks for sharing. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So maybe we start talking about the September updates.
You mean the small limited number of updates?
Yeah.
Maybe we call it September update.
Right.
Updates. I'm gonna share my screen and I'll let you talk about it, Paul, because you already wrote about it. So maybe we can cover the one feature that we wanted to talk about.
Really, the one that jumped out at me. Well, there were two, but one was redacted before they published this the final publication.
Yeah.
So this one that was still in there is for IPM Insights, Auto Predict, Predictive Planning, being available in free form. And actually, it should be in there. If we were to go into a test environment right now, it should be there.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you guys have used Insights or Auto Predict. Anyone?
Yeah, I've used Auto Predict and Predictive Planning a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just yesterday, for our EPM practice, we meet not weekly. I think it's every other week as a group, and we'll go through the updates and anybody has any questions, that kind of thing. And I did a real brief overview of auto predict and insights, because unless your client is on board with it, you don't have an opportunity to use it.
Right.
And I just came off a engagement where we were using both. And insights is just what Oracle is doing with insights as this continues to evolve. It's amazing stuff. It's going to make the role of an analyst or executive users, anybody that needs to see the data, the forecast data, as well as the historical data, and do analysis on it. This capability is just amazing in how it will look at large sets of data and pull out the important information in a very easy to see graphical manner, and then you can just drill in from there. You can drop it into ad hoc, and you can just drill away and dig into it to your heart's content to find out what's behind those patterns and those trends, and how good did your forecast compare to what the auto predict said it should be. Or if you incorporate machine learning predictions into it, how good did your people do when they said, no, I don't believe the system, I think it's going to be this number? Were they right or were they wrong? I'm going to guess they're going to mostly be wrong, because the more data that's there, I mean, no insult to planners and forecasters, but if you have good history, that's going to tell you what your future is going to be very well.
And how does it work? Like, does it look for usually, at least in my experience, your forecast scenario? So you have a certain data set there, but usually you have more granular data set, like more rich data, like you can go back, I don't know, 10 years.
So when you're trying to compare your historical forecast with your actuals to see how well you did, that granularity can be difficult to configure at first, but you should be able to configure your actual history at I'll say a parent level, your summarized level, and match that to your forecast level, even if, because your forecast, it should be rolling up to the same parents, and you can then have that comparison. So even, and I get what you're saying, you're not going to forecast at that same detailed level that your actuals are coming in.
Right. Yeah.
But it does provide that higher summarized view if you configure it that way.
Yeah. I think one key thing is the amount of data that you need, like historical data, because if you don't have good data, then so one key thing you kind of mentioned, Paul, is that for us to use or configure these, the client has to be on board with this.
Yes.
So is it more us as consultants not educating them on what this can do, or do you think it's more hesitation, or they don't really want to do it?
I think it needs to be introduced to them as early as possible in the engagement. So those first sales calls, the sales team needs to mention it. They need to be bringing it up. It needs to be in those initial presentations. And then certainly when it gets to the point where we're in there as consultants and gathering our requirements and getting all the specifics of what it is, what that business is, and what they need to do, and their capabilities, what their team is open to and ready to take on, because it's important that the clients understand everything that's being thrown at them, and to prioritize what's important for them. I think this is easy to justify because it's the benefits once you accept it can be huge. And this engagement I just came from, we brought this up from day one. And the client, they went out on their own to learn more, and they would come to us and say, well, I just read about this, and this. Does it do this? And how do we do this? And what's your opinion? How can we leverage this data? This client actually was already using machine learning models, which that's the first time I've experienced it. Unfortunately, it was incompatible with Oracle's interface at the time.
Yeah.
That's changing. It will be compatible soon. So we'll have to probably go back and do some rework there.
Yeah. I think right now the predictive planning capability in Oracle only allows single variate analysis because it only runs in
Exactly.
single.
Yeah. So when they bring in the multivariate, then we'll be able to utilize it.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah. I specifically asked that question because I've run into similar challenges where the client doesn't really know what it
Right.
can do unless we introduce it early on, like you said, Paul. It's very difficult for them to know what it's capable of. And if we introduce it later in the project, it's kind of like, why didn't you guys tell us earlier?
Yeah. And as consultants, we need to help our clients to learn and to understand everything that's available to them, and then make sure we're tailoring it to whatever their business is. Because there are a lot of features and functionality that it's not a one size fits all, right? Not every client needs everything Oracle can throw at them.
Right.
But that's our role to help get to what they need specifically.
Right.
And one quick question, Paul. Do you think like this auto-predictive tools, they can significantly speed up the process of forecasting? Like, at some point you can just rely on this Oracle calculation, and then you get the baseline, and then you will only add something on top of that.
Correct. I think that's the direction that it can go, as long as the client, the users, are comfortable with what they're seeing. So they need to get comfortable that when those results are predicted and they go in and they say, no, that's wrong, and they change it, the insights are going to let them see whether they were correct in making that adjustment. And once they accept that the system is right most of the time, once they get that acceptance, then auto predict, we should be able to spit out a forecast in a very short period of time, have a cursory review of it, and make adjustments based on things that the prediction can't take in, like we're going to go into a new market, we're going to have a new product, a new country, those things that you don't have the history to rely on. So in those cases, you're going to need somebody to make some assumptions.
Yeah. But
auto predict, if it's done right and you have the history, there's no reason it can't do 85-90% of your forecast.
Yeah.
Nice. That's really cool, because I always see, like, from the business perspective, the ones who are responsible for revenue, they usually are stretched by leadership team. And like with this machine learning, you can just justify your numbers more, I would say, easily.
Yes.
Like, how can I generate more revenue? This is what we'll get as a basis, right? So I think that will be pretty cool for businesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. So I know, Paul, you had mentioned there were two things that you wanted to talk about, and one was redacted.
Right.
We could mention
So
it.
it's not, I don't think it's a secret. And it's on the roadmap. It's been mentioned by others. So it's generative AI and narrative reporting,
Yeah.
to get commentary, to get notes. And I think that's going to be just as much as I like insights, and I think this is a great tool. Generative AI and narrative reporting could be a true game changer for narrative reporting and the business. I mean, it just imagine you spit out your financial reports, and the system is going to look at that, look at the data, and generate commentary based on that. You know, yes, it's going to take some training to get appropriate terminology and whatever business you're in, but that's huge. Imagine all the time that the the analysts and others are going through reports line by line. Why do we have this variance?
Yeah.
What was this variance due to? AI is going to give them, at the very least, the basis of that analysis. They can dig further and enhance it, but I think it's. I hope it comes out in October, because if it's not October, I mean, then we risk going into next year before we see it.
Yeah. So there was a webinar probably day before yesterday, Thursday, I believe. So where Al Marcianti from Oracle was demoing this function. So I'll put the link to the
Yeah, if you
webinar
don't mind,
recording.
send me that link. I'd
Yeah.
like to see that. I don't know how I
Yeah.
missed.
So it's pretty cool. Al showed like 3 use cases where it would take the numbers from the report, it would send it to the Fusion AI service, and it would get back the commentary into the report. You can't really change the commentary in that section, but you can use that and copy and paste that into somewhere and then change it. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was fast too. It wasn't like taking a lot of time. So yeah, and based on the webinar, Al mentioned it should be coming out in October, and he also mentioned
Excellent.
Oracle Safe Harbor applies.
Well, yeah, that's of course. I mean, that's just that's how they operate, right?
All right. Okay, good. Anything else, Harsh, you wanted to ask about
Yeah.
updates or Paul?
No, not on the September updates.
Okay.
I want to
No,
look a little
just
forward.
to mention insights again. I think it was July. It was made available in EPCM, Enterprise Profitability and Cost Management. So, and I believe it's on the roadmap for, or is it in FCC already?
I think it's in FCCS.
Yeah,
I believe.
I know I shouldn't say this, and I should just educate myself more, but I don't get into FCC.
Yeah.
So it's a foreign world to me.
Yeah,
I
me
know that's
too.
where we get our actuals, and that's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, me too. I think I mostly work on arcs, planning, and narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
What is your favorite application, Paul?
Planning. That's
Plan.
what I enjoy the most.
Right. Yeah, the same.
Yeah. And I think that's enough. I mean, there's so much in it.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Are there any other recent updates that you wanted to highlight, Paul? I wanted to specifically ask about something, but other than simulate concurrent usage, is there anything that you wanted to talk about?
So I think you guys have previously covered Forms 2.0. So that keeps evolving. There's still some frustration there. If you have a big form and you're trying to scroll through on the web, it doesn't scroll really well.
Yeah.
But the other functionality, the other features in it. I mean, I know new applications, that's the default, but I would just encourage anybody that is still using Forms 1.0, try it in your test environment, but go ahead and convert. There's no harm there. It's not going to break anything. You might see some performance differences scrolling through a form, things like that. But overall, it's worth it. It's just a better look and feel.
Yeah, visually it looks so much better.
Yeah. And when you combine it with then Dashboards 2.0, you get that extra feature-filled experience too.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'm looking forward to eventually seeing Smart View and Google Worksheets whenever that eventually comes out. I've looked in the past at using Smart View on a Mac, and it's going to be, I imagine, similar type of configuration and setup. So that'll be fun to try.
Yeah. We did talk about trying it out and showing in one of the podcasts, maybe October podcast. We can do that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about with Simulate Concurrent?
Yeah. So I know you brought probably 2 to 3 blogs about Simulate Concurrent usage. So maybe educate us on what this can do and why should somebody use this feature.
So I'm going to have to revisit these posts and update them, because since I wrote this back in December, they've added new commands. I shouldn't say new commands. New items that can be simulated. So I think now it started with like just opening and saving forms and business rules. And now you can do data rules, you can open ad hoc grids, and it looks like you can also execute reports and books, but that's a little misleading, because it's only if it's not going to go out to narrative to do it. I don't think. I have to research that some more, but it looks like if you're using management reports within the planning application, you can include that in your simulation. So the command itself, simulate concurrent usage, it's going to, once you configure, and it's a little tedious to set up, you need multiple files to put in the parameters that you're going to use for the command. The command goes out, it grabs each of those files, and it's going to, let's say if you're doing your test is to save a form.
Yeah.
And you want to stress test that with 50 users, all hitting the same form, all at the same time. So you're going to define the form, the intersection that you're going to simulate data changes to, and it's going to simulate 50 users hitting the form. There's some other parameters in there, and you'll get a report with all the performance impact of that. And you can then use that to, if necessary, update your form or update the rules that are on the form that are being executed on save. It should be used as a development tool for us as consultants and others that develop. When we create our forms and our calculations, what are the users going to see when everybody's in there using it? Does it perform?
Yeah.
If not, what do we do to fix that? Do we need different forms for different users? How do we break this out so when Johnny enters his data, it doesn't take 5 minutes for it to come back, because Sally and Susie and Jimmy all were doing the same thing. So it's a tool, I think, mostly for developers to utilize as a stress test on the environment. It's also, the other things you can run business rules and rule sets, data loads. So simulating that functionality, you're going to get a good idea of, is the system adequate? Are you performing the way you need to? The difference is, since when I first looked into it and now, initially you had to have identity domain credentials to create these simulated users. They've now changed it that you can use existing users for the simulation, and that means a service administrator can run this instead of somebody with identity domain credentials. That's important because over the last several months, Oracle keeps adding these additional roles, and they're giving us more segregation of duties. So the person that's the identity domain administrator, they may not have access to the application itself. So we need this kind of flexibility in these tools. So I hope that clarifies some things. There's a lot there, and I need to revisit it and do some more testing when I have free time, whenever that might be.
Thanks, Paul, because it's good to know that you can perform different operations, not just opening the form. So different operations you can perform.
And I expect they'll add more to that over time. I'd like to see them add it so we can execute reports and books from narrative, because my opinion, anybody that has an enterprise license, you better be doing your reports in narrative. I can't think of any legitimate reason why you would develop your reports in management reporting in the application. I don't mean to offend anybody by that statement, but that's just the way I feel. Narrative has so much more to it. Whether you utilize all of it or not, it's the smarter way to move forward.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay.
I'm curious, Paul, like with this simulation EPM command, for example, like you said, now you can run this command with existing users. And so, for example, if someone doesn't have access to certain, artifacts in application, does it also, pop up like, so this user were not able to run this rule?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would assume if you're using an existing user, whatever security access they have is going to apply. So that also could be part of the test. So if you include a user that should not have access to the form you're testing, I would want it to come back as a fail. I want it to come back with some sort of message that says user A could not open the form, could not save the form. I want to see that. So I'm going to make a mental note. That's a good test.
Or you could listen to the podcast again, so we talked about this.
I also was trying to link this, EPM command you were talking about, and this is the first time I hear about it in a detail with the Forms 2.0. I noticed that the more often you open Forms 2.0 for particular form where you have like thousands of rows, the more like faster it will retrieve data from the database, because maybe because of the cache or something. So I guess maybe there might be another use case to use this, I don't know, to run this command maybe every morning before everyone goes into the system, so it will retrieve all forms much faster.
I could see how that could be beneficial.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. You should do that and let us know.
I'll try.
All right. Okay. Hush, I know you wanted to talk about the road forward.
Yeah, the roadmap. So
all right, I'm going to share my screen and maybe talk about a few of the items that we talked about and then get Paul's
Get
views
his
on them.
opinion on some of these. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of this is new to me because I want to go to Kscope. I have not been there, so not in a while. So you guys are privy to some things that I just haven't been caught up to speed yet.
Well, this is our chance to show you some of those.
Right.
All right.
So what am I looking at? Job listing and scheduler.
Yeah.
Searching. Okay, this looks good. I like the interface. That looks better as a jobs console.
Right. So I think the best thing that we all liked is the search function.
That's right. Yeah.
And there are obviously filters and stuff, but I'll let Harsh talk about this more.
Yeah, I think just for the searching, they've introduced this not only to the job scheduler or the job console, I guess, but also to, I think it was the library. So I'm hoping that that means across the EPM platform, anywhere we have these sort of listings, we might start seeing that same search functionality there.
That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be very helpful because, depending on what part of the application you're in, the search feature is not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for me personally, probably the job listing is the most, the place I would use it the most.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. And as it is now, it takes forever to search through and find the job that you need to look at.
I'm gonna highlight something, and so this section which talks about progress is interesting because it is saying step 5 of 20, step whatever.
Oh,
that is cool.
that is.
Yeah. So I'm assuming it updates real time and shows whatever's interesting to know what do they mean by steps? I don't know. We'll come to know soon, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Did they have so this is next year where it's going to be released?
Yeah, sometime in 2025. We don't know when.
Yeah, because it looks like that's on refresh database and they must quantify it in some sort of way.
Right. There are two things, right? I see it against the rule and then one refresh database. And everywhere you can see the rule.
Yeah.
There's a step progress indicator. It's good.
I'm kind of curious to know why it's out of 20 for both rule and refresh database.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, because I know when you run the refresh database, it kind of shows you that progress bar.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So probably they're doing the same thing. And
I think last time Harsh also mentioned there is a additional column which is custom name.
Yeah,
which is like great.
Oh yeah.
I wonder what this is. Custom name. So maybe when you run it, you have the option to give some random name.
Maybe you can name it so it reflects differently on reports. If you can get reports out of this.
Or it might be something that, on the job scheduler that you can give it a name, then you know which process you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
User friendly.
Yeah.
So this is one. And then Harsh, you talked about this a little bit, but this is another thing that search function is being expanded to the library.
Yeah.
So this is good.
That'll be helpful as well, because though we, try and push users to use navigation flow to go through the process.
Yeah.
Everybody always, there's a form they want to use and they don't want to dig through the folders.
Yeah.
So being able to search for it in a usable way, this could be very helpful.
Yeah. I know there's a search function now in the library, which is horrendous. Not helpful at all. So yeah, I'm glad they're bringing this. I think so. This goes across dashboards, forms, reports, everything.
Yep.
So yeah, which is good. And Harsh, last time you talked about the tabs, which is, you could have
the tabs across the bottom, just kind of like browser tabs. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you could you could have reports, forms, dashboards, everything in different tabs. So
Yeah, because
Oh,
just
that'll be
in real
good.
world usage, you might have one form on a tab, a report on the other, and go
Right.
back and forth, right?
yeah,
I gotta say, Oracle's uh, they're coming up with some useful stuff lately.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I couldn't agree more. And then we had connections, libraries. Yeah, so we talked about this, but I think based on the role and privileges that you have, you see different things in the different areas.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was another more
Yeah,
interesting
let's talk
stuff.
about this
This
because
is all of our favorites.
yeah, I mean, to this point, we've been using Groovy scripts to set defaults for the users, and I mean, it works, but this intrigues me. This looks like it'll be much more, I don't know, easier for a user to. Is that what it's intended for the user to go in and do it this way?
Yeah. So imagine when we first set up the user tries to log in, they try to
Yeah,
open a form, you get that weird error message that
yeah.
says,
Our favorite error.
Call your
yeah,
administrator.
yeah, not all variables are set up,
Yeah.
whatever. I think now it would kind of prompt you, even if you try to
Okay.
open a form, it might prompt you to say that, hey, you are missing user variables, and it will prompt you to set those user variables right
So
there.
you still have to. It's I guess bringing in the page to do that instead of making you go to your user preferences.
Yeah, that's
That's
one.
still a good improvement.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think there's also an option for the system admin or service administrator to set up the default variables for the user. If I'm not wrong.
Right.
And that's where I think the
That's
REST
where the
API.
REST API would come in, I guess.
Yeah.
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 No, this will be good because and I've seen applications, not that I've built them, but I've seen applications with dozens of user variables, and that's just a tedious mess to set up. So anything to make that easier is a welcome change.
Yeah. It's also from even if you show it to the user the first time when they
Yeah.
try to open the form, and if they see that weird error, it kind of doesn't.
It freaks them out.
Yeah, it freaks them out.
Yeah.
But if they give you that and they already know, okay, hey, this is what I need to select, and this screen pops
Right.
up, it's good.
Yeah.
All right. And this again,
Yeah.
these are like the most important things or interesting things that we liked, but this is on top of our list as well. Approvals
I like
and
it.
forms.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, the example that they have is you don't necessarily have to go to a different approval unit section and approval
Right.
section to promote and delegate and whatnot.
Maybe we'll see more usage of approvals now. And
Yeah,
I
true.
rarely come across it as it is.
Yeah, yeah. So this kind of lets you do everything from the form, which I think is much, much better and user-friendly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about, Harsh, on the roadmap? I know this
No, I
is
think I
maybe
wanted
one.
to go to the big page at the end and
Okay.
get some Paul's thoughts there.
Yeah, yeah. Let's start here.
Oh, okay.
This is our favorite slide.
So maybe we start with some of the things that was already delivered, right? So this is
Redwood theme. Yep.
Redwood theme.
Yeah.
Already there. What else?
Yeah, I wasn't sure about the right-click menus for ad hocs. I don't know what they were talking about.
Is that maybe instead of having to bring up the smart view?
Like because right now you right-click, then you go to smart view, then
right.
what you
maybe
want.
Maybe it'll be more direct action.
Maybe, yep.
Maybe that would be good if that's what it means.
Yep.
Yeah.
The search and filter, action menus and ad hoc from charts. Okay.
So I don't know if you ever had a chance to use Oracle guided learning option.
I have not.
I know I've seen this in projects where they have used it for ERP.
Okay.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah, I've just within the last few weeks, it came up in conversation, and I think it's something I should probably take a look at.
Yeah, yeah. When we were initially exploring, there wasn't support for Oracle guided learning in EPM, but they've introduced it obviously in August.
Yeah,
So maybe good for us all to explore that. So we talked about
interested
this.
in yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we talked about that. So I'm interested in the KPI tiles
What do you call?
at the very
At
last
the
one
bottom.
there.
Oh yeah. Charts plus numbers.
So is that kind of replacing infolets?
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because that's kind of what infolets were, and then they
yeah,
got rid of it.
yeah,
So maybe this is a enhanced, improved version.
yeah. Interesting because in the dashboard, couldn't you do this now? Yeah, I mean, you could do this in dashboards, right?
But
You
that's
could
what I'm
have,
wondering.
yeah, you could have like
Yeah,
a tile, but yeah, the tile only includes numbers, not the chart. So I guess they're saying the tile could include chart plus numbers.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Because in the chart, in the tile right now, it just gives you a number, right? Which says, I don't know, 4.5 million, whatever. But it doesn't include a chart in the tile chart type.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so I'll have to wait to see what that is.
Yeah. 21C, we talked about this a couple times. Fred's favorite topic. Um, then hot backup. I guess they take backups even when the system is running. So not wait till, the scheduled maintenance time to
Oh,
take
well,
the
that's
backup.
interesting.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
will there still be a scheduled maintenance time?
I believe so because
Yeah, but
yeah.
did we read somewhere or talk about? Oh, yeah, that's it. You highlighted it right there. Yeah.
Okay.
So there is still that, but this kind of, we were talking about this in our last podcast where we talked about, disaster recovery, and hot backup kind of helps you with, confidently telling the client that, hey, you know what, there's a much better disaster recovery option now because you're taking hot backups. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like a good improvement. I want to know more about it. I'm curious, how do you guys now approach a backup and retention routine since Oracle is now doing what is it, 60 days that they're
60 days.
holding?
Yeah.
Do you still have a EPM automate type process running daily, taking those snapshots to a local server?
I have had clients where they have specifically requested for it, where they said, we need a longer backup and more frequent backup. So in a way, we were doing this hot backup using EPM
Okay.
automate command.
Yep.
But yeah, and some clients they do request, and yeah, we do have EPM automate command.
I think the restoration's a lot easier when you kind of own it.
Sure, if you have the local copy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would
Also,
be my approach. I think it's great that Oracle is doing it, but yeah, if you need to restore, you want to restore. You don't want to wait however long that process takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, I actually tried to restore it. It's pretty fast.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
It's like minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it is. But this more frequent backups is something that I guess it goes away with this, but that's
Right.
basically what we use it for. Because during month ends and year ends, when they're doing critical things, they would request, hey, I need frequent backups.
Yeah.
Yeah. This we covered, like, they're, Paul, you alluded to this. They are introducing more granular roles, obviously segregation of duties, and I think it's a good thing that introducing more of these granular roles.
Absolutely. I think it'll give comfort to a lot of clients to be able to define who can do what.
Yeah. Right. I'm gonna interrupt this and go back to one of the considerations. I don't know, you had it in your.
That
Yeah,
thing's
there you go.
that one right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe
Yeah.
talk about this, Paul. I know we covered it, but it's your thoughts on
So
this.
yeah, I mean, if I'm understanding it, as it is now, a power user can create dashboards and forms, but they're going to change that. So yes, the power user can still do that, but the permission on the form or dashboard or the folder where it's at needs to have write access assigned instead of read, because currently we just put read on the folders and the forms, and that typically is all you need to do. So I think this is helpful to further define what the power user can do.
Yeah.
Maybe they can access some forms and edit them, create them, but not all.
Right.
So you get that extra security.
Yeah,
That's
I like
great.
just having these options available to us, because a lot of times we get questions or requirements, and it gives you the ability to say yes, that's possible, rather than, well, we can do this or that.
Yeah.
Well, you need to be a service administrator to do that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, going back to this. So this is everything that we talked about for 2025.
Right.
And then we have later on what's coming, which is what we talked about.
That real-time progress. That's great. Yeah. Cross-app data maps. What's taking so long? We want these now. They were promising for a while.
Yeah. This is going to be good. I think they also included support for attributes. So that's another thing. Yeah. I was like, why you don't have it?
And large grids. What does large grids and forms? What does that mean?
I think so. Fred, you brought up a good point when we talked about simulate concurrent usage, and you mentioned, you know what? Just run that command, open the form, close it for a few times, because now the refresh and when you retrieve the data, it becomes faster. I think I've run into this when you have large amount of data. Forms 2.0 has, I don't know, performance bottleneck. And I believe they're improving that, I believe. And that's what I think this is helping you to do. Load and refresh, expand, collapse. I really didn't understand what this is, but maybe it's expanding and collapsing the parent.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Or columns.
Yeah. Member selector, they have a pretty good member selection in Forms 2.0, much better than Forms 1.0.
It is much better. Yeah. And the search works in there pretty well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can just type. You don't have to go into the search at all. So wonder what this member selector enhancement is going to be looking like.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the new charts too.
Yeah.
That'll be nice.
Yeah. It's always good to get more chart types.
Right.
Gen AI for quick analysis. We really didn't talk about it, but you could chat and ask questions. And I guess the intent is Gen AI will generate a dashboard for you, a chart for you.
AI partially scares me, but there's so much that it could be good for. I don't think it is going to eliminate what we do. It should help us, but we're going to have to learn some different ways of developing.
Yeah. Totally. MDX support for form designer. I know Asman talked about this last time, but anyone has any comments on this?
No, because I don't know what it means.
Yeah, me neither.
So we'll wait for Asbat to give us more details on this.
Yeah, I'll have to look at the that old episode.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't sure about this pre-sorted hierarchy in forms. Maybe we need to get more details on that. Expansion by levels in forms. Again, we haven't seen a use case, so I mean,
Right.
don't know what this means. Scaling, we are thinking this is number scaling.
Oh, okay.
Right. So
Isn't
again,
that already there?
it is already there. So I'm not sure what this actually does for the forms. Maybe there's some enhancements we don't know about.
More user initiated, that the user can change the scaling.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, it would be cool. Like, and we design the form, and when the user, opens the form, they have some option of changing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be so cool now that I think about it.
Right.
Make it more like Excel.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Okay. Flex
Flex forms. That'll be nice.
That'll
Yeah,
be
directly
nice.
on the web. Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about this more granular roles.
More
You-
regions. That's
Yeah.
always good.
That's
That
always
means you're
good.
growing.
Yes. Shorter maintenance window. We talked about this. I think it kind of
Yeah.
is probably because of the hot backups that they take. So, okay, S-based security filters. I know Asma talked about this in our last meeting. Harsh, you did talk about this too.
Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly what they meant, but way back in the day on-prem, if you have like just an S-based app, you can go into your EAS and specifically go edit security filters per person. So
Right.
you were able to like copy and paste, and it was a combination. You can do a little bit of stuff that I guess Valid Intersections does now, but I think that's what they might be talking about, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to,
Yeah.
because I vaguely remember the on-prem days. It's been a few years since I've touched an on-prem app.
Yeah.
I haven't touched at all. So
Oh,
fully
you were an
cloud.
ERP guy at the time, right?
Yeah, I was mostly on ERP that time. Yeah.
Ah.
So I'm fully on cloud from the beginning. Okay. GenAI for Form Designer. We don't know what this is, but we're guessing that you could ask questions and GenAI would generate a
It
form.
might even be as simple as, hey, I need like type or let them know you need a form, what you want on the rows and columns, and it just builds it for you, maybe for users. I'm not sure.
Maybe you're making an ad hoc form.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what else it could be.
Yeah, because see, in my mind, this and where'd the other one go? We talked about quick analysis using GenAI.
Middle.
Yeah. In my mind, it's the same thing. This is a different view. This is a different view. You still have to get the data in a specific format. You still have to get the data in a specific format. It's just the format is different. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see. I mean, that's 2026.
Yeah.
Half of those things may not happen.
Yeah. Or a long time to go.
Right.
All right. That's everything that we had from a roadmap perspective. I know that we had one more slide, Harsh, about Smart View, but maybe we will cover that later.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else that we wanted to chat about with Paul?
I think we got most of it, unless did you have anything else you want to talk about, Paul, or any closing words?
This has been great. I truly enjoyed talking through this stuff with you guys. I was a little nervous, I'll say, because I've just recently met all of you. So I've interacted with a couple of you previously, just like on LinkedIn or somewhere like that. But this is great. I'm I'm really impressed by the four of you putting this together and starting this, because it takes a lot of time and effort, and that shows your dedication to the EPM world and what we do. So I think it's a great thing. I'm really happy that you invited me on. Maybe I can come back in the future if I have anything new to talk about. But really enjoyed it, and I can't thank you enough for including me. And I definitely want to stay engaged with you guys, and just have impromptu calls and talk about stuff. That'd be great.
Yeah. I appreciate it, Paul. Like, we appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yeah, it's such a
and
huge
sharing your
pleasure.
views. Yeah.
Have you here.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been trying to get more people. So so Muthu from Oracle has agreed to
Oh, that's great.
be
Yeah.
part of the
I was
podcast.
going to say, I hope having me doesn't discourage others. So
No.
Not at all.
I think it's going to encourage more people to join.
I hope so. I hope
Yeah.
that's the effect.
So we've been planning few, like Kate is one. She kind of mentioned, oh, let's meet after Cloud World.
So you're Kate Helmer?
Yes.
Yeah. So I have not had the pleasure of meeting Kate personally, but I met her husband several years ago. Before I was a consultant, I was in that Hyperion administrator role, and he was our consultant.
Okay.
And had a lot of fun with him. He was a fun guy. So I don't know if he remembers me or not, but I like Eric. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
So if Kate's married to him, she must be okay.
I think Opal is one person I haven't reached out, but I will.
If you can get Opal, that would be you would enjoy that.
Yeah.
She is one of the smartest people in EPM.
Yeah. We have exchanged few emails and LinkedIn messages, but yeah. And then I think TRCS. So I'm gonna reach out to this guy. His name is Prashant. He's from India. He seems to be working on TRCS. None of us have worked on TRCS, so I'm intrigued and interested to know
I don't
more
want to. Just to be clear, I don't want anything to do with it.
But yeah, I'm interested to know what TRCS is, like what it does, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. And
It should be interesting.
Yeah. So Dan from Huron. So I've been reaching out to Dan. So that's our pipeline for the guests.
That sounds like a great upcoming list.
Yeah. We appreciate you joining us, Paul. It was good to hear your thoughts on all these things, and we'll definitely bring you back whenever you want to.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Paul, for your time, for all insights, and sharing all your knowledge on this podcast. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I learned from you guys as well.
Well, it's a small world, small community. So
right.
So I'm telling you, I've learned so much in the last 4 to 5 episodes from everyone who's on the call. And I go through all the updates, I read blogs, but sometimes it's so easy to hear from someone and they explain things.
And we all spotlight different things.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. So this interaction is really helpful.
Yeah. I think the last session we had with Abhinav on EDM, that was so good. Like we had so much fun talking about it, and we learned a lot. So
that's for sure.
So when I bring down Kate, I want Abhinav too on the call. So they both are EDM specialists. So it'll be nice. All right. Okay, Paul, I hope you enjoy your rest of the weekend. And,
thank you. I hope you guys do too. Get out there and finish your pickleball.
I will. All right. Thank you, Paul.